Welcome to Of Sound Mind and Spirit. I'm Shelley.
And I'm Lisa. We're sisters walking together on a journey of faith. We're not perfect.
We definitely don't have all the answers.
We're inviting you to walk with us as we explore ways we can better know and grow in our faith together.
Welcome back to another episode from Of Sound Mind and Spirit. I'm Shelley.
And I'm Lisa.
Lisa, we were talking in the spirit of walking on our journey of faith together. What do you say we expand this idea by inviting, all our friends to join us?
That's a great idea, especially since today we're talking about our friends, the saints. And to kick it off, we're going to say hello to our good friend and special guest, Morera Johnson. Morera Johnson is the author of My Badass Book of Saints and Our Lady of Charity. And she is the host of the CatholicMom Prayercast. Hey, Maria.
Hey, ladies. It's so great to be here. I'm already laughing.
Oh, yeah. We haven't stopped. Maria, when Lisa and I first thought about doing today's episode about our friends, the saints, we both immediately thought of inviting you to be our guest.
Because I'm so saintly? Wait, let me get my halo going here.
Of course, because you tell us all the time, how to be saints. I was going to just ask us to reminisce for a moment where it was we came together, because Maria, I think you were one of the very first people to encourage us on our journey working together. It goes all the way back to 2009. We were in San Antonio. Do you remember this? With the SQPN New Media Celebration?
I do. And, the one that's missing in this little group is your mom, who was also there, wasn't she?
She was there.
She is there right this minute in San Antonio.
Oh, that's true. She is.
Oh, my gosh.
She is on the Riverwalk, probably as we speak.
Doing the same thing we were doing.
There you go. Recreating all of it.
Recreating it all. Oh, my gosh. What memories from those days. It was the advent of Catholic social media. Anybody that was in tune to doing anything in those tinny podcasting days, right before all of the awareness. I mean, you guys have a nice little setup here. I'm just hanging out with some really cheap earbuds, but it was a great time. There was a lot of excitement. We were really into the evangelization and just using this media. Like we were all little St. Pauls running around with our microphones, trying to...
I remember there was a keynote speaker and the title was, Would St. Paul Tweet?
Yes, the answer is yes.
Yes. He would do all the things, all right? Facebook, Twitter, probably even have a TikTok dance.
You're probably right. Yeah, those were great days. And the fruit of it is just all over. And I bet you people don't even know what those origins were. But we were there because, now we're the elders in this community.
We're the ones not doing the TikTok dancing now.
Absolutely.
Not me. Nope.
My kids have threatened me, so it doesn't happen.
There is a secret dance out there somewhere that my niece captured.
Oh,
yes.
Now we have a new scavenger hunt.
Good luck with that one.
So, Maria, we did ask you to come on today because we just wanted to talk about our friends, the saints. And what are the saints? We do have people who listen who are not Catholic. And we do get the question from time to time, well, what are saints? And, what is the saints that you talk about and you pray to? And so we just thought we'd ask you to join us for that.
Oh, well, I love it. And thank you for that invitation. I think that because of my book, I kind of am a de facto saint person.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is that the saints are just holy people that got it right. They're regular people like we are, who had their challenges and they had their successes and things like that. And what they wanted to do was just align themselves with the Lord. So they're regular people who allowed themselves to be these vehicles of grace to seek lives of holiness. Mm-hmm. And so we're all saints, and we're all saints in the making.
I love that idea of being a saint in the making. Mm-hmm. We have a very large San Damiano cross in our church, our parish church. I think you've seen it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And at the foot of that very large San Damiano cross, there are people drawn in at the very bottom of the cross, and it starts out bold and it kind of fades out. And I have a friend who always says that when she sees that cross and she looks at the bottom half of that and she thinks, oh, all these holy men and women. And then she looks down at the bottom and says, they left room for me.
Oh,
I like
yes,
that.
absolutely. Isn't that it?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I love
It's a
it.
reminder.
So you mentioned your book, and I just want to let our listeners know that you do have 3 books out there. The first one is my favorite. I'm sorry, it's still my favorite. I was looking through them yesterday, and I do love your second one, but your first one's still my favorite. It's My Badass Book of Saints. In that one, you talk about courageous women. And I love the word you use in the beginning about tremenda.
Tremenda. That's the nice Spanish, streamlined, cleaned version of badass.
Mm-hmm.
What it
Yep.
means is, and it's funny, it's not lost in translation. I think that young people do understand that I'm not cursing or saying bad words, but that it's an actual uh, commonplace word that means bold and
Mhm.
courageous. And so, yeah, I think well, I don't know. I guess all 3 of those books are my favorite books because they were all meaningful in
And they're
some
all just
way.
a little bit different.
Yeah. I'll say the next one, I'll jump in with the next one. It's Supergirls and Halos. My companions on the quest for truth, justice, and heroic virtue.
Ooh,
Which,
heroic virtue.
That one's my daughter's favorite because you tied in saints, named saints, blessed, canonized, official church saints with heroic female characters from sci-fi.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think she really loves that idea of how they both represent ways to live and how you can choose to do right in the face of wrong.
that's right. That's right. And I really like that book because also I am a big sci-fi fan, as I know that someone here present is also. But it is so impressive that when you distill who the saints were and you compare them to these superheroes, the superheroes are doing these big, enormous things. But the saints, I mean, some of the stories that we hear of the saints are, dramatic martyrdoms and things like that. But I would venture to say that the majority of the saints have a quiet, heroic virtue that is not explosions of dramatic things externally, but perhaps explosions of dramatic things internally.
Mhm.
This wild abandonment to the faith, this courageous acceptance of Christ in their lives. And I think that that's what real sainthood is, and that's what we can aspire to today. I think this quiet, heroic virtue.
Right.
makes it almost, when you think about the big heroic stuff, like you said, martyrdom, most of us go, oh, no, that doesn't sound like me or probably what I'm called to, hopefully not martyrdom. But I love the quiet, heroic virtue.
Yeah, and a lot of Catholics today are really rediscovering Flannery O'Connor, who wrote what they call a Gothic style, a
Hmm.
Southern Gothic style, and her characters were kind of weird and grotesque. But one of them has a quote that's attributed to Flannery O'Connor often, and she says, I don't think that I have this. I don't know the direct quote, but it's like, I don't have the stuff of sainthoods, but maybe I could be a martyr if they killed me quick. And so I don't want to labor over the fact that I'm about to be martyred. But if you catch me by surprise, I'm happy to do it.
I was going to bring it back and say that in your Tremenda book, your your badass book, that one of the things you did in this one was you linked saints not with storybook characters or Marvel sci-fi superheroes. You link them back to ordinary people who may also be on the path to sainthood, and they're people that we might not even think about. And that was kind of like Flannery O'Connor.
Right.
I don't know how many people outside of English lit class, American lit class, know who she is these days, but I'm crossing my fingers that there are some. I've read some of her short stories, and you're right, they border on the oh my gosh.
They're
Oh,
out
did I just read that? But you paired her with Saint Margaret of Antioch
there. Yeah.
for perseverance and strength,
Hmm.
and I thought that was a really nice blend together.
Yeah, I had fun. I had fun with that because like I said, this we are made of the same stuff as saints, right? And so when I search for these women who have these extraordinary attributes, um, they have the same stuff as the saint that I paired them with. The only element that was missing was that grace could move them into holiness. And many of the women that I picked were not Catholic. Um, so that's also an indication that who knows the direction that God has for us, and
Mhm.
and how that's going to manifest itself in our lives. So yeah, I loved that, and I loved doing the same connection with the superheroes and the characters. But in the third book, I looked at Mary, who's the ultimate saint, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes, I was gonna bring that one up too.
Our Lady of Charity, and that's a devotion that is very special to me because I'm Cuban, or Cuban American. But when I grew up, I was born in Cuba, and we spoke Spanish in the home for years until I started school. And so the devotion that my mother had to this patroness of Cuba, this title of Mary, Our Lady of Charity, is such a beautiful example for us today. And so I tell the story, not just the historical story, but it's also like my spiritual memoir of where, how I developed a devotion to the Blessed Mother. And so
Mhm.
that's always great because what do these saints do if not show us like a game plan for our lives? And it's so easy. It's one step. Trust Jesus.
Can we just turn it into a to-do list?
I know, right? Or it's, yeah, yeah.
It'd be a really short to-do list, Lisa. Trust Jesus, check. Every day you have to get up and check it.
Check it off. Or if you're married, do what he says, right?
Yeah.
Mhm. Do whatever he asks you to do.
That's right. That's right.
Y'all make it sound so easy. Okay, hang on.
Well,
Right.
it's a
Well,
work in progress.
that's what's
Mhm.
so great about reading about the saints and spending time learning about them is that they're also individual in the way that they show us how to trust and how to listen and follow God. And one of the things I love about your actually both your books about the saints is that you picked saints that aren't always the ones you hear about. I learned about some new saints to me. And that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought it was important because we kind of grow up. I'm not going to say that we kind of go blind to these saints, but
Mhm.
we kind of like hear their story and then they don't become human anymore.
Mhm.
Right? And so what I think that I enjoy about reading about the lives of saints is really finding their humanity. They weren't perfect. They weren't all that holy all the time either. They just had this awakening or this realization. Some of them hard and fast, and some of them took a lifetime to develop.
Mhm.
And these days, as I'm getting older, I am enjoying looking at saints who were older when they achieved this route to holiness. I
Mhm.
don't want
Mhm.
to canonize anybody, but
you what you said was really important there because you said you like wanted to humanize them.
Mhm.
And I think that's kind of the difference in the way I used to view the saints is that you just thought they were people who lived a long time ago and they were all you couldn't relate to them, right? They
Mhm.
were all just perfect and amazing and nothing like me. And the way that you tell their stories and portray them and link them to either characters in media or real life other women, it makes you able to see the path and make it okay. There's some similarities or things I can pick out that actually maybe I could do that.
Yeah, that's my encouragement. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's what encourages me. And so I'm always like on the lookout for new saints
Mm-hmm.
because of that. Because they intrigue me. It's much better than looking for superheroes.
I remember the first time that I read about a girl who was my age, like we were born in the same year, she became a blessed. Her name is Chiara Bondano.
Oh yeah.
Have you heard of her?
Yes, I have a book. I have a book about her.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
I'm in the middle. Isn't that crazy? I am in the middle of moving, and so I don't have access to anything. So I cannot.
You can't like reach over
I,
and pull it off the shelf and hold it up to the camera and say, "See,
I
Shelton,
would
I do have it."
I would ordinarily do that, but oh well, that's just the way it is. I have some other books. I have Elizabeth Lasser's letters to her husband somewhere over here on the bed.
I don't remember a lot about her off the top of my head, except that when she was 16 or 17, here I am just, going to high school and getting ready to go to college. And she is facing terminal cancer. I think it was a bone cancer. And she's in a tremendous amount of pain, but she had always lived a life of faith. She'd always, been very active and involved in church. And at the end, she gave all this pain up to Jesus. She just kept saying, "It's for you, Jesus. If you want it, then this is what I'm going through. And this is all for you." And she did pass away. And now the family and I guess the church she was involved with have taken up this cause to have her made a saint. And she has been beatified, so she is a blessed. But I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, she was I'm her age. If she had lived, she'd be my age exactly.
Yeah.
And she's already, done so much. And she really truly was set apart for something else. And that set apart is what it means to be holy. It
Mm-hmm.
means that you have set apart your life for God instead of just being completely in the world. And that's that spark you talked about just a minute ago, Maria, how they lived ordinary lives, they were ordinary people, and then something inside them sought God first and became set apart for it.
And I love that you brought her up because she is a modern saint, a woman who lived among us in our lifetime. And we just celebrated Carlo Acutis just a few days ago. And here's a young man, again, a 20th century, late 20th century saint, early 21st century. And it's exciting to know that in these times, we are making saints. And that is so encouraging, but also just a beautiful part of the continuity of the eternalness that is our faith.
Right.
When I was teaching CCE or religious education to third graders, when we would talk about the saints, one of the things I would do is bring up a video of Mother Teresa because I remember her vividly from growing up and as a young adult. And it was funny because the kids, they had that view of saints are a long time ago, long hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And here I am showing them on my iPad, a video of her speaking. And they're like, wait, saints could be on TV? But, and now with Carlo, it brings it present and makes it more relatable. And, you watch, I remember when they presented Mother Teresa for canonization. And because when you watched her do what she was doing, you were thinking, oh, wow. And then to see her canonization come, I don't know. For me, that was a huge moment because like you said, we're still making saints, not just talking about it. It's not something that happened hundreds and hundreds of years ago, but people are choosing to do that in their lives now.
That's right. That all of us should be choosing that. Not with the aspiration of becoming a canonized saint, but with the aspiration of making it, to the kingdom,
To heaven.
to heaven.
Yeah.
We are all on that path, and we tried to be, at least, and we try to lead others, including our spouses and our children, first and foremost, and to live an example that we hope others see and recognize us not for our faults and not for the times that we fail, but for how we pick ourselves up and turn back toward God, seek forgiveness, and try to go back on the path. So, yeah.
Well, I think that the goal, if we're really trying to hit it, is not to achieve big S saint, but to achieve small s saint.
Oh, I like the way you phrase that. That's perfect.
To do it because it's what we need to do. It's because what God calls us to do, not because we're trying to, achieve some kind of fame or
for the recognition.
Yeah, recognition.
And that is something to remember, is that for all of the thousands and thousands of named saints, we believe there's many, many more who don't receive that recognition.
Yeah, but they get the prize.
That's right. It's just a small fraction.
Maria, I wanted to ask you a question. This is something you said. You spoke at a retreat that Lisa held years ago, and you made a comment about how a saint calls you.
Oh, yeah.
You at the time, I think you were talking about your gal, Saint Teresa of Avila, and then you something happened. And you were like, "Up, there's Saint Teresa of Lisieux again. She's just calling me and calling me." And
I
I
know.
just wanted to know, could you explain that to us? What does that look like for those who don't know?
I think that once I talk about this, you're going to say, "Oh, yeah." And it's funny because you started off talking about the beautiful San Damiano cross in your parish,
Mhm.
which I'm surprised I didn't say something like, "There it is again," when I saw it to you too. So saints follow me. So like we know the saints, and I went to
Mhm.
Catholic school, so we had plenty of exposure to all of the big known saints. And my aunt, my mother's older sister, is the matriarch, and apparently that is now my role in my generation, who calls everybody on their saint name day.
Oh.
I like that.
or or in a random conversation she will say, "Oh, and by the way, today is the memorial of so and so," and then she just keeps on going, and it is the most natural thing in the world. And my children are all like, "How does Tia do this?" And I'm like, now I'm an old lady, and I'm like, because I subscribe to Magnificat and I know what the thing is for the day and blah blah blah. Anyway, so saints following me, I think that's as you start to open your eyes to what's around you, and as you start maybe increasing your spiritual reading, or even if you just subscribe to an online resource, like I get the Catholic Company's email every morning that has the readings and the saint of the day. And there are some saints whose names keep coming up over and over and over again. And so I'm just in tune with that now, and I'm paying attention. And so I say, "Oh, so and so is following me because that name keeps coming up." So Saint Teresa of Avila followed me all of my young adulthood, to the point that I just completely rejected her until my 50s, where where actually for my 50th birthday, it was a year-long bit on Catholic Weekend, which was one of the one of the podcasts that we did with SQPN. Gosh, a dozen or more years ago. And because of the circumstances of where I was born in a communist country that was an atheistic country, the sacraments were very difficult to come by, and so I was both baptized and confirmed as an infant. And so I didn't choose a saint to be my confirmation saint because I was confirmed as a baby. So, and over the course of this conversation that developed, I said, "Okay, I'm going to study for 1 year and see which is the saint that might be aligning with me, right?" And it
Mhm.
and it was Saint Teresa of Avila. I could not deny the fact that my mother had gone to a Carmelite school, that that my mother-in-law had gone to a Carmelite school. All of these women around me were at Teresian institutions. And so I accepted St. Teresa with great apologies for my abuse of her in the previous years as my patron saint. And she has been very good to me in my 50s and now into my 60s, because that's just what saints do, is they're good companions. And the more I read about her, the more that I see that we have so many similarities. And she just wanted to be my friend, and I was, not wanting to know who she was. And so that's been a real pleasure. And so the latest saint that's chasing me down, I would say probably for about 15 years, is Saint Francis of Assisi.
Mm.
I have a cross, and I'll show it to you. I'll send you the text with a picture of the cross because it's amazing. I was coming out of the school building that I was teaching. I had gone to teach an offsite class for somebody as a substitute for something. And it was a rainy day, and I kicked something metallic in the parking lot. And I kicked it and I kept walking, and something stopped me. I don't know what it was. Something stopped me, and I turned around to go see what I kicked, and it was a San Damiano cross. So I picked it up, and then I have had many encounters with that cross over the years. And I discovered in the course of running into St. Francis in one way or another, that my grandmother was a third order Franciscan.
Oh, nice.
I was, stop, because there's more. I was baptized in a Franciscan parish by friars.
Hmm.
I was born in the city of Santa Clara.
Do you ever wonder, Maria, what
Uh,
it is they want you to wake up and see? What it is that they're not just calling you to see them, because they're always trying to lead you through something that they experienced to lead you to Christ,
yeah,
because that's what our saints do. They befriend us, and then they're like, "Hey, did you notice this way over here?
right,
Did you notice how I did that, and that led me to him?" So
right.
you got to start wondering now. Okay, Saint Francis,
I don't
what am I
know, but
supposed
I
to
think
do?
I'm destined for some of the little initials after my name, because our new parish is St. Francis of Assisi.
Oh my gosh.
Y'all, we could not make this up.
I joined the women's group.
Of
Mm-hmm.
course you did.
Of course I did. And I made a little friend already. We play pickleball. And they started a book club. And I joined the book club without seeing what the book was, because what the heck? It's
Oh
a book.
no,
I can read
I'm
it.
afraid.
Please be afraid. I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, but it's Father Casey Cole's
Mm-hmm.
book on the Beatitudes. Who he is a Franciscan friar. The young friar that was going to all the baseball stadiums.
Yeah.
Uh,
The way of
yes,
beatitude.
the way of Beatitude.
Yeah.
That's it. So yeah, so that we start tonight, and that's the book. So I'm just,
Okay.
What's the message here? Yeah.
I guess the Beatitudes. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. I'll report back to you.
Okay.
I love that.
All right, Maria, I want to segue this into asking you a question about your sister.
About my sister.
We always ask our guests to tell us a sister story, and it can be anything of your choosing. It doesn't have to be related to the saints or even related to the church. We just want a fun story that you want to share with you about your sister relationship, because Lisa and I,
We're
we pretty
sisters.
much live our sister relationship out loud for everybody. So we're
So
becoming a twofer. Like I was somewhere and they said, "Where do I know you from?" And I said, "I do a podcast with my sister Lisa." And they were like, "Of course, that's where I know you from."
naturally, naturally, I too. I have a younger sister. I'm 11 years older than my sister. So John and I were dating ish. My
Ish.
husband and I ish. We're dating. And my sister was just a little girl, and he would come to pick me up to go out on our dates. And he could not come and give me a little kiss on the cheek or give me a hug when he saw me without first going by my sister, who demanded her attentions. Uh, so sometimes we would just take her out, and people would give him the hairy eyeball, because they would think, ew, this guy, who is this girl? Look at how young she is with this baby. And I'm like, honestly, really? Mind your own business. But anyway, I'm 11 years older than her. So it's not that I raised her. No, we did not get along. She was always a pest. I had to share a room with her. She got into my stuff. One time she was helping me by washing my hard contacts with perfume.
Oh my gosh.
As someone who wears hard contacts, that's yeah. Okay.
So I put that in my eyeball and almost died. So
Pain like no other.
so I'm going to say that my sister survived her childhood with me as an older sister.
Oh.
But but the beauty of that is that, as she got older and as I matured and was not thinking that she was a pest, I think that we have a beautiful relationship. I mean, I love her dearly, and she's an accomplished woman who has a beautiful family, and I'm just so proud of her and so blessed to be her sister. And so I love her very much.
Aw.
I think that's great.
I torment her as often as I can.
Well, of course.
Of course. I think
That's your job
universal
as the older
sisters.
sister.
Yeah.
These days I keep her in good wine instead of Cokes.
There you go.
I have had the honor of meeting your sister, and she is just adorable and lovely. And the two of you are a little more alike than you might think.
Oh, you think so? I don't know.
She can give it back to you as good as you can give it.
She does. She really does. But yeah, what's that song? Sisters, sisters. Isn't there a goofy song about sisters?
Shelley, that's it we should do. We should do like a TikTok reel thing of us doing the sisters dance from,
Oh my gosh.
was it White Christmas?
It's White Christmas,
Yeah.
sister.
That's what we should do. We should totally do that.
There can never be another sister. Yeah. Something about no mister will come between me and my sister.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not Christmas time yet, so I haven't heard it in my head
No,
or
but
on the TV.
you two are
15 times.
weirdos who married men with the same name, so I don't know what to say about that.
Hey, they spell it differently.
And you know what's funny? She met hers first, but I married mine first. So
Oh my gosh.
It's all competition.
no.
Oh, well, all the time.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, I thought that when you prepped me for that question, I thought that you were going to ask me what was a sister story of encountering you two.
Oh.
And,
Oh.
Did you have one for that?
yeah, when you guys came to the retreat. No, I thought it was fabulous. Yeah, well, because Shelley has crashed my house a couple of times in Mobile on her way to some softball and baseball events. But it was cool that you were able to come, Lisa.
Mm-hmm. That was my
I
first
was
and
just
only
thinking
time to
about
be
how
there.
wonderful that was.
Oh, that was just our road trip. You made some comment about coming to visit you for that. And I called Lisa, said, why don't we?
Why don't we road trip?
That's right.
I'm always up for travel.
Do we have anything we have to do? No. Do our husbands are home to take care of the kids? Yes. It's like, all right, you drive. I'll get the hotel. Let's go.
You guys are up for any level of shenanigans. That's what I love about you.
We are.
All right. Lisa?
Oh, yeah, that's me.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Maria. Really, thank you for coming. We just love having you. And we forgot to mention that you do host a podcast, the Prayercast with Catholic Mom. They can find that anywhere you listen to podcasts, right?
That's right. Or you can check out CatholicMom.com, not just for the Prayercast, but for Momcast and all the other offerings that we have there for moms and for families.
That's right. Oh, and Shelley and I were just on the Catholic Momcast with you and Lisa Hendy recently. So go check that out too. And thank you, dear listener, for listening today. We're very excited that you're here. And if it's your first time, if you're here because of Maria, we hope that you will go through some of our previous episodes, find something. Hopefully you'll find something you like. I was going to suggest episode 16, all about following Mary to Jesus, since we mentioned Mother Mary, and you can hear both of us on our perspectives about our love for Mary. Reminder, we release a new podcast every Thursday, so we hope we will see you again next Thursday. And in the meantime, come visit us over at soundmindandspirit.com. Thank you, ladies.
All right. Sorry, we didn't plan how exactly we were going to end this.
All right.
Bye, y'all.